So, welcome to episode 2 of the Right Brain Insights podcast. I'm David Maher, your host, and I find myself here in the headquarters of Reventon, along with Chris Christofi, the founder of the business, here in the beautiful city of Melbourne. We've got a fantastic view out over the bay. Chris, thank you so much for your time, mate.
Thank you for having me on your show, Dave.
Absolute pleasure. Mate, we've been working together for a number of years. For the sake of the audience, tell me a little bit about Reventon.
So Reventon is a fully integrated financial services company. What started off in residential real estate is now a company that sells real estate around the country. Residential, we do lending, so residential lending, home loans, property management, accounting and financial planning. We recently, the 21st of this month, celebrated our 20 years in business. Over that time, we've helped over 10,000 clients. We've sold over 3.5 investment homes. That included $3.4 billion worth of sales, over $1 billion of business under management. Been very privileged and honored to have won over 50 major awards in our different categories, featuring over 100 publications, got many, many happy clients, and very proud to have celebrated our 20 year in business this month.
Yeah, it's a fantastic result. Not many people in your position get that far in business. It's really cool.
It's humbling because when the business started, it was from my parents' living room with a debt of $348,000.
So I was going to ask you, where did it all start? And also, of all the things you could possibly do with your time here on the planet, why this?
Why real estate? I love real estate. I'm the youngest of 4 siblings, and my father, who owned quite a bit of real estate, gave all of my brothers, 2 brothers and a sister, wedding present, deposit for a home. I was 19 or 20, and I asked my father to give me the money sooner because I go, by the time the way I'm going, I'm never going to get married. Give me the 30 grand now. Inflation's going to take it all. He goes, what do you want it for? I go, I want a car. He goes, no, find a piece of real estate. I'll give it to you. So I got into the industry about 19, started researching. I bought my first 3-bedroom townhouse, New South Wales Tweed, double story, little townhouse. I sold it 6 years later for $328,000.
When was this?
I was about 19, 20. I was 20.
What year would that be?
70, about 99 to 2000. I bought my first piece of real estate.
Just before the boom off the back of the Olympics.
No, we did quite good. I did quite well in it. And I fell in love with the industry. So I bought a second, third, fourth. I bought 8 properties by the age of 24. I was doing quite well. I was a national manager at a firm. Then I ran a franchise. So I was making $250,000 to $400,000 over my career per annum. Money was a lot easier to access at that time. Low doc, no doc loans were a lot more prevalent. Didn't need as much documentation. Accountant signs off. You're good to go. So I bought a lot of property, but the company I was working for went into receivership. It owed me $780,000. My son contracted bacterial meningitis, which is the worst part of this story. He almost died. He was in the hospital for 2.5 weeks, and he's profound deaf. He's got 2 cochlear implants. So all of this happened in the space of 6 to 12 months. So I went from 8 properties, making great money. Things are good. Separated with my fiance at the time. Son almost died. Debt of $348,000. Moved back into my parents. So that's when I launched this business, Reventon. So when people always say, I started from zero, I wish I started from $0. I started from minus 348. But I knew that I had the passion and resilience. I knew real estate was a great investment. I believed in it. I had great knowledge around it. The only difference was my strategy wasn't robust in a tough market. It was good if the property market went up, if the properties were leased for 52 weeks of the year, if I maintained my income, if. Now, all of these things, none of them happened. So my property portfolio had to sell a lot of properties constant. At the time, I didn't handle all this well. I was 24. So I started doing a lot of things that I shouldn't be doing. I was drinking, gambling, partying, doing all these things. Almost lost my son. So things spiraled out of control super quick. But I knew that I had an amazing work ethic. I was resilient. I wanted to set a good example for my son not to quit. Hence, I started Reventon. always with the vision to be where we are today. And yes, that's a very, very short synopsis of our story.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, something you and I have spoken about in our time together, although too briefly, is you're also a man of faith. Yeah. And I'm curious, how has your faith helped you navigate through some of the times that you've just described, but also some of the more recent times in business, and help even just in business in general? You run a business, you're going to have tough decisions to make. You can't make everyone happy. You know, how has your faith helped you stay grounded in business and also in life?
Well, being humble is everything to me. Now, I've re-established a very, very strong faith over the last couple of years because I've 2.5 years ago got divorced, which I took very, very difficult. The situation was very challenging, probably the toughest time of my life outside my son almost dying and losing everything. This was a close second based on the circumstances and the position I found myself in. To offload a lot of real estate. I was in court for 2.5 years. I only signed the documents a few days ago, so that's off my plate. And as you know, because I've been working closely with you, it was very, very challenging. So when everything kind of came to a head and I got all this information and my marriage was on the rocks, so to speak, I thought, who do I need around me? So I got a psychologist, a spiritual healer. I just got the best team. And I had a calling that I needed to start going to church again. So I go to church every Sunday, which is something that I'm very happy and proud to do. So South Melbourne, where my kids got christened, I even got married there. So the service starts at 7:30, finishes at 10:30, 11. I get there around 7:15, so I get there the same time as the priest or before. I'm always one of the first there. I don't miss a Sunday. It's ironically, I say I do it religiously, of course, no pun intended. And if I'm away at a winery, I'm away on a Sunday, I'll research a church local nearby, and I'll go for half an hour to an hour. So when things are really tough, I'd pray every week just for patience to last one more week, keep my cool and my calm. And the following week, I'll pray for the same thing, to give me one more week of patience.
One foot in front of the other.
And when I realized the things that were coming into my mind, the things I was praying for, I knew I was on the right path because I was praying for strength. I was praying for the ability to forgive certain people. And I was very happy with what was going on in my head. I've become friends with the father, comes to the office. Sometimes I help him with stuff as well. He messages me regularly, messaged me today, funny enough. And he asked me, he goes, why do you come in so early? I go to him, why do you come in so early? He goes, very funny, Chris. He goes, you need to come and do a confession. I said, sure. I don't know if you'll remain as a father after this, but I'm all in. So I was confessing and he started laughing because I don't know if it's my character. I'm an open book. And he goes, you're supposed to be laughing during this, Father. And he goes, no, sorry, but we have a great relationship and it's an honest and candid one. And he asked me certain questions. And even when I spoke to spiritual people or psychologists or therapists, they go, gee, Chris, you're very upfront and honest. I go, if I'm here, I'm here, mate. If I'm going to commit to this, let's go. So faith for me, which was, I guess, the long-winded answer, is everything because I think as human beings, we're all good. We try to do our best and we do the best we can with the level of consciousness we have at any given time. I think faith grounds you. We're not as important as we think we are. We're all just human beings. We're all just trying to do our best. So being kind to everyone. Everyone's got their own battles. Some people just hide it better. Everyone's got their own challenges. And the best way to fight fire in a lot of cases, it's not with fire, it's with water. It's with love, it's with understanding, it's with careness, with compassion. And my father taught me that. He's a very religious man. He goes every Sunday to church, my dad. He's been going for decades, ever since I can remember. My mum's quite religious. So in Cyprus, there was a church in Doros, which was a village where my mum's parents are from. My dad's parents were from an adjoining one, Zimiglini. And we used to go every Sunday. I even used to hold the candles. I used to help around the church. And somewhere along the way, I lost my way a bit. Not that I wasn't faithful, not that I didn't believe in, I'm Greek Orthodox, Christian. Not that I didn't believe in the faith, but I don't know. So things happened in a real crazy manner. And I think it happened for me to reestablish my faith in a way.
Yeah, and that's often part of the human story. That's like what you're describing is part of mythology. It's been that way for millennia, where as a young person, you start in the village, end up having to go out on an adventure, rediscover something, and you end up coming back.
It's a circle.
Hero's journey. You end up back to it.
So look, it's for me, it's given me peace. To be a kind, good human being's everything. And I feel that I've done that for the last 45 years of my life. But there were certain things that I wanted to do better. I always want to be a better father, better CEO, a better friend, a better son, more patient, more kind, more giving. And I think when you're grounded in faith, and look, for me, it's the most important thing in the world. I hold above everything. I'm not a big advocate of people that push things down your throat. I think understanding is everything. I think all faith's good faith because you believe in something bigger than yourself. You believe in karma, you believe in being a good human being is what I'd like to think. And when someone pushes their belief down you, whether it's being Christian, Orthodox, Muslim, an atheist, I'm not a fan of that. I'm a fan of listening to people, understanding, and knowing that we're all human beings because we're all alike and we're all trying to do our best. And yeah, faith for me has been everything, but it was more a calling to go then. I'll give you one more example. When I lost my first cousin due to brain cancer, I went a bit loopy. He was one of my best friends. And I went through a pretty bad scene, gambling a lot and doing a lot of things I shouldn't. I took it really hard. I loved him so much. And for some reason, I never shaved my beard. I didn't do it for 40 days. And I had a calling to do that. And it's like when a soul passes, they roam the earth for 40 days before they go. I never knew that, or I did know that, or I forgot about it. Something subconsciously made me do that. So if you go back to 2018, when I did my first Vintage CEO sleep out, I had this massive, scruffy, ugly beard. And to the point where I was in America, and one of my mentors goes, they were all talking about, well, no, they weren't all talking about me. They were talking about Chris Christofi. My mentor was because he loved me and he's a beautiful man. He still mentors me now. Shout out to Kevin Franz. And I was in, I don't know where I was, some part in America. And I saw these other people. And I started talking to them. I walked off and they go, Chris Christofi. They goes, no, he wasn't. He goes, yes, he was. Then he showed a photo. He goes, oh my God, I didn't even recognize him because I had the beard. And these other people wanted to meet me there because of what Kevin said. They didn't recognize me, but the beard was a shocker. But I don't know why. So the same, and I use that analogy, or I use that story, because when I was through the hardest time of my life, the most recent, the business is in turmoil, it's really tough. I wasn't coping well with the divorce and everything going on personally. I just had to go there. And I remember my spiritual lady said to me, the lesson gets so loud that you'll learn it or you keep going back. So I was doing a mixture of things, and I've got a lot of religious friends that helped me through it and came and helped me and prayed with me and for me. And I had a lot of people. So I just had a calling to go there, and it's been the best experience of my life. So every night, for many years, every night when I have dinner and my kids, we say one thing we're grateful for. The last probably 6 to 12 months, I've incorporated a prayer to say thank for the food. My father always does that, puts his cross before he eats, after, when he drives. So I've got a very, very good role model in that sense. And there's not a human that I know that doesn't know Peter Christofi, my father, that won't say the best words about him. I've never heard a bad word spoken about my father. And I've never heard my father speak ill of anybody. So I've had the most robust father that I could in that sense. And my mother's very faithful as well. So I've had a great grounding in this sense. So when all this happened, I could have gone one of either way. I could have gone off the rails, or I could have really focused. And all I thought of, what do I need to stay away from? And what do I need to focus on? Faith was right on the top of that list. Hanging around the right people was on top of that list. Showing up to work, keeping my head up was on top of that list.
Making appropriate sacrifices.
And they weren't even sacrifices. They were actually, my hair's going up just talking about it. They were things that I needed to do. And I didn't even, it was a conscious, subconscious, and an easy decision.
But there is a discipline to that. Because it's like, yes, these are the things you knew you needed to do. And there's a discipline required to stick to that path, get those things done. You know, because there's all these other things. There's an entire world of, to use a biblical term, temptation out there that you could go and do with your time. Yeah, exactly. So there's the appropriate sacrifice, and all of a sudden you get the...
I've done so much in my life. Feel I've lived 15 lives. Had an amazing time. Temptation on many things. Would I change it? No, in a heartbeat. I loved it, but I've done it. I don't have FOMO when people go out, and I've done so many things. I have the opposite of FOMO, fear of getting invited, because I'm happy to stay home, read a book, happy to not do something Saturday to go to church. It's not really a sacrifice. I've done it. I'm content. Now my goal is to be of service to others, to be of service to myself, to be a better dad, to be a better CEO, to be a better leader, and more importantly, to be a better human being. So when we talk about sacrifice, it's really easy for me. And you talk about discipline. If I switch my mind to something, I know that I'm either going to stop breathing or I'm going to do it. It's just the way I function as a human, no matter what it is. I'm either all in or I'm all in, whatever I'm doing.
Yeah, I've certainly enjoyed that in working with you professionally on the numbers and performance of the business. You're sort of saying we've identified several points along the journey that we mapped out originally where we've had to pivot, make some tough decisions, get it done, you know, and we've always been able to have that healthy debate and then ultimately make the call and execute accordingly.
Was it executed every time? So after we've had the debate, and I'm very open-minded, and I love people questioning me and going against me because I'm trying to understand why, and I want to come from an area of understanding. But once we've committed to our plan, it's going to be executed. And my mentors teach me a lot of that stuff.
Who are your mentors?
Well, I've currently got a few. I always have. So the gentleman I mentioned has been mentoring me for 5 years. So if you look at our 20-year video, the three of them make an appearance. I've got a business advisor, talks about governance and strategic planning, Adrian Hondras, which you know. Kevin France has been with me I've been working with him 2019, I think. And I had another gentleman who's helping me probably for years. And his name's Len Wilson. He owns Glenville Home, second generation, 1958. Very, very successful, very shrewd. So I've got Kevin, who lives in Austin, Texas. He's from America. I've got Adrian Hondras, who's Greek. And I also have Len, who's Jewish. So I've got so many smart people from different areas.
You've got all your bases covered there.
I do. And they're three incredible men who have played a massive significance in my ability to problem solve, my ability to run the business, and my ability to just get better at what I do. And I'm fortunate to have them around me. But a very, very important piece to all this puzzle for me is faith. Because you look at, and I love when people like Deepak Chopra says, are we human beings having a spiritual experience or are spiritual beings having a human experience? Which I believe that's what we are. Now, does anyone know the answer to this 100%? No, but the people that have faith believe that enough. And I do believe.
We're all going to find out eventually.
And I'm comfortable with that. And I'll say to the people that don't believe, and I'm not here to convert or convince anyone, whatever, whether you do or don't you want to do the best you possibly can in this crazy thing we call life while we're here? Don't you want to be a better person? Don't you want to be kinder? Don't you want to understand other people more? So wherever there is or there isn't, while we're here, while we're this tenure, while we've got this chapter, this journey, don't you want to be better? Don't you want to serve?
And I find that notion really, really interesting, Chris, because in your world, a big part of what you do professionally and in service is helping people build their wealth through property, through other investments, so on and so forth. And from my perspective, with our business, it's a big part of what we do. Help businesses effectively make more money, increase their cash flow, increase their enterprise value. Okay, in a world where I would argue, capitalism generally is under attack, a big driver for me is like, the more money you can create, the more you can be of service, the more you can help others. Helping people with their wealth and achieve financial independence is being of service. It's fantastic.
But it's more than that too, because it's a purpose. So when I spoke to a family member of mine, he asked me, what do you earn? Told him. Because it's even more important what you do with it. I told him, he goes, why do you want to earn more, Chris? I said, I want to help more people. He goes, be someone of true power, then you can create more impact. Now, I'm not saying that money transfers into impact, but I think wealth only accentuates who you are. Wealth doesn't build character, it reveals character. So it's a very important fact. So people go, it builds character. No, it doesn't, it reveals it. Do you have a lot? Well, you're a prick and you got a lot of money, you're just going to be a bigger prick. Are you a good, kind person that helps and gives? You're going to be a better, kind person that helps and gives more. Now, not everything's financial. I'll sit here, look you in the eyes, and I will tell you, financial is very, very important to me. I like having nice things. I like my kids going to great school. I've had modest beginnings. Now, if I ever get back there, I'm cool with that too, because I've had it all. Doesn't define who I have at all. But if I've got a choice, I want to have those things. I want my kids to be good and I want to give more. So for me, I measure some of the things that I've done in terms of giving. And the reason I do is because I want to measure it so I can always make sure that I can keep increasing it. So in my new brand, I want to make more to give more. That's going to be one of my slogans and it's not just about the money, it's about the purpose. I know that I'm driven by numbers. I know that I'm driven by impact. So I'm going to put any fuel in my car and my engine that motivates me and inspires me to make more, to give more. That works for me. Now, we spoke on my podcast about being left brain. We spoke about numbers. That excites me. I can tell you some crazy stats. People go, what are you, Rain Man? I'll give you some of them. Year number 1, my goal was to raise 40,000 at Vinny's. People can check this. I raised 40,185. Year number 2, my goal was to raise 60,000.
And just to stop you, when you say Vinny's, you mean?
Vinny's CO Sleep Out, which I'm an ambassador to. Goal 2, 60,564. Third year, 80,000. I raised 82,177. Year 4, goal was 100. I raised 113,173. Following year was 250,000. I raised $263,069. The following year was 120. Raised $122,240. The last year was 120. 100, then we went to 120. $137,444. Grand total of $18,882, which is right behind there, the sheet. I remember numbers. Now that motivates me. Now, is that important? Not as important as impact. What's that numbers doing? We have helped so many people, feed them for a day. Now we've got all the stats on the impacts that it's had on families' lives. That's what I show my team. But for me, that's what moves me. I know what fuel does. Now, and I'm very competitive.
Yeah. And I find the same with clients when you're talking about their, particularly I get it right, but particularly husband and wife teams running their own business and talking to them about their numbers, their finance, and the connection between what they're creating financially and the life that they're living. And if all of a sudden you can get that aligned, or if they can understand, tell me the life you want to live, and I'll tell you what your business needs to do. And if you can do that, you can pull off this really interesting connection between fulfillment and success. Because history is littered with all these people who are successful and they've killed themselves. Elvis, you could argue Elvis, Janis Joplin, Kurt Cobain, all these guys, right? Fill anywhere. What they do? End it. Why? success does not equal fulfillment. But if you can actually understand how the success drives your fulfillment, make that connection, away you go. And for me, that's, I love that when you can see people really change their lives and start driving things in a new direction. It's really cool.
There's a book called Habit Loop and talks about how a habit's created. There's also Atomic Habits, which talks about habit stacking. There's so many good literature on it. People talk about Alcoholics Anonymous, the 12 steps. Now, a lot of people do those steps and they understand the psychology with breaking a habit. But in most cases, they will fall back into that habit. I gambled for 25 years. I've studied this extensively. I've done a lot of things for many years I shouldn't. And I'm going to tell you something very interesting. You can learn to break a habit and you can stop it. A lot of people regress and go back, even with the 12 steps. You know, the one thing they found the most successful in breaking a habit. Now, everyone that you just mentioned now, I'm not talking specifically, gambles, drugs, womenizers, whatever it is, one or all of these vices. Relentless, Tim Grover's book talks a lot about these really great athletes that have a dark side. He talks about these things. So going back to having one of these vices, you know, the one thing that they said that when you do stop these vices and has the high success rate of not regressing?
No idea. Take me to church.
What did you say?
I said, take me to church.
Having faith. They grounded. Is that an incredible thing? So I was studying immensely on every topic. So when I have an issue, I'll pick up 5 or 10 books on that topic and I'll immerse myself in it. Breaking habits, mindset, everything. I want to understand it. You're talking about a guy that's had a lot of vices, that's broken them all, been gambled for almost 8 years. And I remember I went and saw someone. I went and saw a psychologist first time because when my cousin died, I told you it was really tough and I wasn't coping well. And he goes to me, how often do you gamble, Chris? You'll love this, Dave. He said, I gambled 90 times last year. I said, what? How much did you play? It was a lot. How much did you win or lose? I told him I lost that year. How do you know all this? I read it. I got an Excel table. I'll show it after you spin out. Go, listen, I had a dream. I'm going to go to Vegas. I'm going to 250 grand. I'm not going to gamble for a year. You're not going to be able to do that, Chris. What? You won't. And you'll pick up some other vice. Really? Yep. It was the first and last time I saw that therapist. The question I get, what happened after that, Chris? Well, I went to Vegas for 3 days. I won 183,000 US, which was over 250,000.
You're still hitting your numbers.
Yeah, of course I'm hitting my numbers. It's me. It was the 30th of August, 2017. I've not gambled since. So I gambled in Australia on the 14th of June, 2017. And I went and I lost a bit. But I didn't like the way I behaved. I drank a bit too much. And I made an ass of myself. And I called my host. And I had a very high crown card. I said, Elliot, I'm coming tomorrow. Are you in? He goes, yeah. I'm giving you my card. Because what do you mean? I'm giving it back. He goes, Chris, you got like all these tens of thousands of dollars on points. You can have it for another year. I go, I'm giving it back. He goes, why? I'm giving it back on my terms. He goes, you'll be back. I go, no, I won't. And then he booked me to go to Vegas to watch the Conor Mayweather fight. So we're committed to that. And I haven't been back since. And we're 7.5 years, almost 8 years. And someone goes, why? Because you said you couldn't do it. I go, yeah. Did you go back and tell him? I said, no. He goes, why? What's the benefit of that? Is that just ego? The old Chris would have went 10 years ago, hey, guess what? Now I know it's good enough for me. And what to say you're wrong. His comment served its purpose. If anything, I should go back and say thank you. But I didn't go back. But going back to the story about faith, all these things that I was learning, that kid that went to church when I was younger, I just had to be there. It was somewhere I wanted to be. And when I was there, it was the only place. And I got ADHD. I don't sit still. Now, you've known me for years. But in the last 3 years, have you seen a more laser-focused Chris? A calmer Chris? And that's because,
But also, yes, I've seen a calmer, more laser-focused Chris, but fascinating to me, that's in spite of what you described earlier to me in your podcast about you going through the second toughest time in your entire life.
but I knew that was the time to show up. So I can tell you by far, there was times I wanted to go interstate, overseas, and hide under a rock where no one can find me. So in the toughest time of my life, I have to show up, deal with 50, 60 team members, whatever it was, 40, as they're changing and growing. I can't let anyone down. I've got my kids, and I have to show up to work and do my 12, 13 hours. But I knew that it's hard. So going back to the church thing, when I was going there, and it was the only time I could be on my own, my brother goes, how do you sit there for 3, 4 hours? And I'll tell you a secret. I haven't told this to anyone. Do you know how I did it? Every Sunday, all I did was I'd go there for 15 minutes, 20, always knowing that I'd chip up. It took me about 2, 3 months to get to 3 hours. Now for the last year and a half, I've been 3 to 4 every week, start to finish. Now I love fighting.
You got to build up tolerance.
I love fighting. So when you fight, my brother used to tell me, used to coach me, the first 30 seconds is the most important than the last. You need to go hard because the judges stays in their mind. So when I'd go to church, I'd break up this is crazy, but I'd break up the 3 hours into 12 rounds, 15 minutes a round. And I'd go in at the start and I'd stay focused for the first 3, 4 rounds. Then I'll be fidgeting a bit because my ADHD kicks in. Then I'll finish strong. And the 3 hours seemed like a day. Now I do it like that. So how I got to understand to be there 3 hours is first of all, I just showed up. 15 minutes, 20, 30. Now it's 3, 4 hours. And then what happened if it was 3.5 hours and I had an extra half hour? I'd go, when Ali was boxing, it was 15 rounds. They had the championship rounds. So then I'd add another 45 minutes. This is this level of games that I played with my mind to sit there. So my brother Zen goes, how do you sit in a chair for that? I know you. And I go, it's the only place I can. So if I'm learning something, I can focus and I can really hold my attention. Or if I'm at church. But I trained my mind through these little, some might call them moronic, some might call them idiotic, some might call them childish. But that's what I did to show up, and then I broke it up.
Yeah. And I would hazard to guess, and I know this myself, a big part of success in the business world is just showing up. You're showing up every single day. You just keep doing it.
So my goals when I was going through that thing in 2.5 years, Dave, let me tell you, I wanted to see no one, be around no one. So at the start when all this happened, as you're talking to me, I'd get up and walk off. My mind wouldn't be there. I'd just be halfway through meetings and just doing. People thought I was losing my mind. I actually thought I was. And I thought, you know what? And as I saw a therapist, he goes, this is going to last for years of the post-traumatic stress that you're going to. And I said, in 3 months, I'll be back. He goes, you won't be able to do that, Chris.
That was not the same therapist that told you not to go to Vegas.
No, different. And a doctor said to me, this will last you for years. And they both said to me, you have made the quickest recovery of anyone I've seen. Now, it didn't take me 3 months to be the way I am now to be as present, but the recovery and the inroads that I made, according to 2 specialists and 2 experts, was remarkable. But I felt within myself. So all I looked at, and going back to having faith, I knew that the vices were done. Now, the vices of gambling was already done, but I had a few vices. So I broke one. Then I made sure that I stayed away from the other ones as well. And I made sure that when I'm in my toughest time, what do I need to stay away from? And I made sure to do that. Now, if you slip, because you do, it's a vice, people stuff up. It talks about it in Habit Loop. It talks about it in Atomic Habits. Don't break up, don't stuff it up twice, because as you can make a habit, you can create and uncreate a habit, lose it. Don't do it twice. So if you miss church one Sunday, don't miss it the second. So when you're armed with all these tools, you're going to be okay. But I'm very strict on myself, so I don't want to miss it once. But if I ever got close to it the second time, and that's the tip.
Now, speaking of which, Chris, I forgot to mention this earlier, but speaking of staying on the path and giving, I got something for you. this. It's from a company in America called Jocko Fuel.
Can I open it now or later?
It's not wrapped, but they're little hydration packets. So give them to every guest. You can add them to water in the gym or in the ring or whatnot, or even here in the office. Great while you're traveling, but yeah, all made in the States. Pretty hard to find here in Australia.
It's just in water, yeah? And they look like crystals.
Yeah. Hydration packs. Yeah, great for traveling or just out and about. Pleasure, man. Pleasure.
You know what? All this stuff, and I say this to my kids, I say money's a transfer of energy. If you give it in the right path, it comes back with its friends. Karma is a transfer of energy. Bad thoughts, bad energy, again, comes back with its friends. It's all going to come back to you. Now, I've said this on many, many occasions, and anyone who knows me will attest to this. I'm probably the luckiest human being to have walked this planet in so many ways. No matter what happens to me, if it's really bad, something ridiculous is going to happen well. And it's important to note that to rebuild something, you got to break it bit by bit to rebuild into something better, something stronger. And I was ripped limb to limb and part to part. But I thought, I'm going to look back at this and say this was one defining moment in my life. Like my son almost lost his hearing. Now for me, was it to re-strengthen my faith? I believe it was. Was it to be a better human and to wake up? I believe it was. But I don't know why I'm this lucky, but I'm in a very, very good place now, mentally, emotionally, getting back into the gym to get fit again and have a great relationship with my kids. So I only think that happened because I had to me, it was a lot of adversity. Now, a lot of people have gone through much more traumatic things, but everyone's trauma is their own, and to them it might seem a lot bigger, whether it's less or more.
Well, you scratch the surface on anybody, you'll find something. Yeah, and it's certainly not a competition. But yeah, I find that amazing as you're talking to people, and the way that there is a meaning in the suffering of life to transcend it and to beat it. And I don't know about you, but you know, for me, when you look back at some of the tougher times in life, there is it is like a gratitude for them. You know, it's like, you know what, that was actually good.
How do you become stronger? So when you ask or you pray to God for patience, how do you acquire patience?
Oh, he's going to give you opportunities to exercise patience.
Correct. When you ask him for strength, he's going to put you in tough situations. So if you look at it as a lesson or a blessing, and you know, if you look at...
And that's hard.
But it's good. It's great. It's necessary.
So hard to do in the moment as well.
It is, but the more you train your mind and the more you acknowledge something, you catch it. There's another book I read that says if you've got a thought, own it, stick with it. Don't push it away, because the more you sit with it, it will slowly dissolve, get weaker, dissipate, and it will disappear. So when you learn all these tools and you get better through repetition. Now, even though I knew this stuff, a lot of the times I wasn't ready to accept them or learn. And if you look at, I mean, it's no secret, who suffered more than any person to walk the planet for us, for our salvation? I don't think what we're going through might seem the same to us because everyone's different. You almost lost your wife. I almost lost my son. Some people that's happened to them. Some people have been in concentration camps, been battered, murdered.
There's a shrine just over there dedicated to hundreds of thousands of people who never got the chance.
We've all got our stories. But what are you going to do with it? Are you going to turn it into something positive? Are you a victim or you're a champion? I've been grateful that I've been put in these positions because there was more that I could become. I could grow more. At the time, as I said to you, there's been times in the last 2.5 years that all I wanted was to go to an island with no mobile, be the only one there, and be left alone from work, from everything. And the only place...
Sell everything.
Not whatever. I didn't have that luxury, but even whatever, yeah. But even the church is the only place that I found that peace. And that could be anything for anyone. It doesn't have to be. It's find something that's bigger than you, that's more important. And more important is service, purpose, being a better person. And whatever religion and whatever faith, while we're here, don't you want to get better at this thing called life? Don't you want people to say, this person was of service, he was of value, he was a kind person, he was a good person? Now, for me, it's important that my kids see me that way. It's important that my team sees me that way. It's important that I see me that way. So a lot of people emulate people. I want to be like that person. I want to be like me. But what I want to be is I want to be like certain words. So I look certain words up because I want to understand the fundamentals of certain words.
What words have you looked up recently?
Well, I prefer not to say, because I ask people, if you describe me in 3 to 4 words, so if you ask people that know me for more than 10 years, if you ask them, give me 5 words to describe Chris, I bet you 3 of the words that I look up, they will say.
Yeah, and that's the answer that counts. Yeah, I love how you frame that with more than 10 years.
Or even people that have come across me. So I study words, and when you think of a word, I think of that guy. So I don't want to say them because I prefer people that know me to say, hey, give me 5 words to describe Chris. And I guarantee you, grab 20, 30 people. You know a few people know me for a long time. Try the exercise. I bet you at least 3 of those words will be identical. It's a pretty bold statement, isn't it? I bet you they will be. But I bet you it will be. And I know they are because I do everything I can to try to be more and more of that word, of that characteristic.
Now, I know, Chris, we've got to wrap it up in about 15. You've got somewhere to be, but switching gears ever so slightly, talking about it more from a business perspective, more from an industry perspective, the Australian property market. What is it about property, particularly here in Australia, that makes it such a sound investment in your mind?
People love bricks and mortar. Over 7 out of 10 millionaires in this country do it through real estate. Old-fashioned ethnics like myself and other people, they love investments they can see that are tangible. Now, it's real estate is good in residential, commercial. They go, Chris, is shares better than real estate? Is real estate better than shares? I said, you know what? They're all great strategies. If you find an expert that can execute them, if they know what they're talking about, they've got a proven track record. And I'm not one to bag one strategy over another. I can tell you, I know some ridiculously wealthy people in residential real estate. I know some ridiculously wealthy people in commercial real estate. I know some ridiculously wealthy people, shares, business owners. They're all good. They're all good strategies. What are you comfortable with? What works for you? Now, am I a big advocate in residential real estate? Sure. That's what I sell. It's the safest and the most predictable investment strategy. Now, there's other ones you can make more money quicker, running a business. Shares, a lot more volatile. Commercial, but residential is the most predictable. It's a recession-proof investment if you have a robust strategy. Now, I over-leveraged. If you don't over-leverage and you have the right safety nets in place, it's recession-proof because people always have to live somewhere. And the properties that I sell between 4 to 700 is recession-proof. Now, I wrote a book called Your Path to Wealth, Brick by Brick. It's an Amazon bestseller in 3 categories. And I've put how I've helped all these clients get into real estate. 10,000 clients, 3,500 in real estate. And I've put the Reventon formula, which has certain safety nets, get the right team. This is what to follow. Now, going back to 24, when I over-leveraged, I learned so much from that experience. I drew from that. Now, a lot of people, they fall off the horse, they don't go again. You have a bad apple, you don't try another one. I thought, well, the next one's going to be better, or it's how much worse can the next be? You got to keep going. You got to learn. You got to keep evolving. So it's very, very important that you get great advice from great people. Now, you need to take action. The best advice doesn't mean nothing if you don't take action. The smallest action is more powerful than the greatest thought. Now, you can see my tonality, my energy, my passion goes up when I talk about real estate, when I talk about people's wealth, because I get excited when people make money, when people buy property. Now, I wrote my book, which 100% of the money for that book goes to charity. I donate it. as a give back strategy, because I want people to get into the property market safely and securely. I can't afford property now. You can afford $20, $30, $40. Go buy a book, educate yourself, start that conversation today. Because you might not be able to buy property for 2 years. But what if you have a conversation and get the right knowledge and you can start in a year? Isn't that better? So I always encourage people, start the conversation today. The best time to buy real estate is 20 years ago. The second best time is now, if you can afford to keep it for the right amount of time. Start your conversation now. Reach out to myself, to Reventon, or to a company like us, and start getting that knowledge. Start building your confidence. Through your confidence, you'll get competent, then you'll take action.
And then no matter what asset class you decide to invest in, you're going in there with clarity, confidence, conviction around it, which goes a huge way to not only understanding, but actually mitigating the downside.
100%.
Yeah, and you can ask the right questions to also suss out the experts you're dealing with too.
And the good way to do that is, how long have they been around to have a proven track record? Do they buy what they sell? At Reventon, we do. My clients are my team. My clients are me, my family, and my clients. We buy what we sell in the areas we sell with the builders that we sell because we know they're good investments and we've made a lot of money through it. It's very, very easy to talk with conviction when you do that. So when I 2017, when the market's down and people saying don't buy property, I did an experiment. I love experiments. And I bought about 16, 17 properties across a 3-year period in multiple locations using the Reventon formula. Over 2.1 in capital growth, 430,000 in growth, 191,000 in positive cash flow each year to pay investments. The portfolio was close to 8 million of investing. So when people go, do you believe in it? I'll give you 8 million reasons why it works. Here's a photo of the slides and the properties I bought. So when I present, it shows a lot of confidence. You do what you say you do and you live and breathe it. So at Reventon, we do that.
There's something about investing in what you understand.
And also investing on what you preach. A lot of people talk and they're good talkers. It's like, and I use the example, would you go to a broke financial planner? Would you go to an out of shape person that's a PT? I wouldn't. And as bad as that sounds, if you're my PT, you better be in shape. You better understand nutrition. If you're a financial planner, you better understand, have wealth, and do what you say. Otherwise, I'm not working with you. It's just for me, it's a respect to your craft. It's a respect to what you say. Do you live and breathe it? Now, if you don't do those principles, I'm not working with you. That's just my philosophy. If you don't live and breathe or respect what you say, you're not the person I'm working with.
And along that theme, Chris, if you had a silver bullet, that proverbial silver bullet to solve any problem in the Australian property market, what would it be and why?
A silver bullet.
You could fix any problem, issue, policy, whatnot in the Australian property market. What would you fix and why?
Giving all the future and potential buyers confidence and removing all the negative buyer sentiment through fear mongering through the media. So a lot of things that it makes people fearful and they don't take action. So the answer to the question is giving people confidence to take action. The riskiest strategy you can employ as an investor, and it's the easiest way to go broke and never have money, is no strategy, no action. So when people say I'm risk averse and you employ no strategy and you take no risk, you are employing the riskiest strategy there is in business, in property, and in life. So for me, if I can give them one superpower, it's take action once you have the information and confidence. Put yourself in a position to win. Put yourself in a position to buy multiple properties. Don't over leverage. So that would be my one piece of advice and superpower. That would be forget policy, forget all that. Give confidence to potential buyers to get in the market and start building wealth today. And we say to create, build, and protect your wealth for now and generations to come. Another reason why people love real estate is it's a transferable asset. It's bricks and mortar. So when people inherit real estate, it's different. People love. It's not like inheriting a business. How am I going to run this business? This is a tough business. I don't want to work as hard as him. What am I doing now? This is a piece of real estate that has an investment, income attached to it, plus tax deductions. The newer, the more, of course. Does that answer the question?
Certainly does. Certainly does. Chris, thank you so much for your time. So really, really appreciate the conversation. It's been wonderful to learn more about your background and the impact of faith that it's had with you and your family, even the team here, and a little bit about the property market too. Mate, thank you so much for your time.
Look, I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed having you on my podcast and being on yours. I've worked with you for 3 years, and I've learned more about you in the last hour and a half, and I feel I've gotten to know you, and it's going to make working with you even more enjoyable because I know a little bit more about you as a human being. So it's been an honor being on your podcast. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, man.